Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my studio. I recently had someone ask me, how do you take a stained glass pattern and use it for glass fusing? I thought that was a terrific question and a great topic to address. So recently, I gave away this book, Home for the Holidays, which has a fabulous selection of patterns. A lot of them holiday, a lot of them just winter, really nice designs. But a lot of them are designed, for stained glass. So how do you take a stained glass pattern and then convert it for fused glass? Which is, there are a lot more stained glass patterns available than there are fused glass patterns. So once you know how to convert them and use them for fusing, it's great because you have so many more patterns to work with, which is really wonderful. Cardinal in a Pine Tree is one of my favorite patterns from this book. It's a beautiful winter scene. It's got a lot of color. It's a nice size. It has an oval shape, which is fun. It's fun to create and design. So I want to show you how to take this pattern and turn it into this. So it's real simple. Basically, you take the full-size pattern and you cut out a single piece of glass, a blank for the base. So I cut out a piece for the base. Then I cut out these little extra pieces and put them next to that clear glass base. Then I cut out an oval out of this pretty blue. Then I cut the leaves and the bird, and then this material right here is made with frit. So this pattern has a few more pieces, a little more detail than this does. It has this border, which is really pretty, and it has these lines right here, which are unnecessary when you're working with fused glass. So one of the nice things about taking a stained glass pattern is you can take the design, the idea, but you don't have to cut all of those pieces. You can simplify a little bit because you're firing in the kiln and you're not so limited by, you can minimize your pieces, make it quicker, faster, easier, a little less bulky with less lines, and end up with a beautiful piece. Start with a piece of clear glass on top of the pattern. Then cut the outside, the perimeter of the shape with your handheld cutter. Try to get as close to that pattern line as you can so you have a really nice oval shape. Along the bottom of the pattern, we're ignoring those pine needle pieces that are extending beyond the oval. We're going to come back and handle those a little differently in a few minutes. Here I'm using my running pliers to remove the excess glass. I rotate the piece to make it convenient and easy to give that little squeeze that just makes that score line run beautifully and the glass separate from that oval shape. Now I'm using my grosing pliers to clean that shape up and take off some of those little points where those lines, those score lines intersected. You want this shape as clean as possible before you take it to the grinder. That'll minimize the amount of time that you have to spend there at the grinder. This is a super fun trick. I'm taking part of the cutoff, lining it up with the oval, and I'm going to use that to create the extensions for the pine needles. Because the scrap is a cutoff, the shape matches beautifully and we get just the perfect contour to match the bottom of that oval shape. These extra pieces that are going to extend beyond the oval may seem like a little extra work and something you may or may not want to do. I recommend you do them because this extra glass that's underneath will support the color on top, and then when it's fired, you'll have really nice consistent thickness in that project across the entire project, from the middle, the outside edges, and those green pieces won't shrink on you. Now I'm going to cut a second piece out of this pretty sky blue. This is where using a stained glass pattern for fused glass becomes really fun, because there are all these little individual pieces that if we were doing stained glass, we'd have to cut every one of those little pieces, including the tiny little triangular pieces between those pine needles. Well, because we have a clear bottom, a clear base, and then this blue for the background, we're just doing one complete oval. And then those green pieces, because it's fusing, will just lay on top and get fired into the glass. Everything will get fired together. So it really is wonderful to use the more intricate patterns and then simplify them with this technique. Because the shape is three-dimensional and organic, has these little extensions out of the bottom, I'm going to trace the paper pattern on my kiln shelf with a pencil. This way I can build the project and know that all those pieces will line up where they're supposed to. It's particularly important for those little extensions. The oval is not a real problem, but where these pieces extend beyond the paper, beyond the circular shape, we want to make sure those line up properly. Now I'm going to use my glass cutter and pliers. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the green pieces that will be used for the pine needles. I use running pliers for the bulk of my breaking, then I use my grosers to clean up those little points. Now I'm going to glue some paper pattern pieces to some red glass. This will represent the cardinal, the beautiful red bird. I'm going to cut this glass, cut as closely to that pattern as I can with my cutter, then take my runners, remove the big pieces. I'll run the score around the outside edge of this curvature here. We'll come around here, run the score here, going all the way around, getting as close to that paper as possible. Then I use my grazing pliers to remove those smaller pieces. I'm nipping the glass into a tub because it's easier to clean up and I'm less likely to get cut by the little scraps this way. I ground the pieces of glass to improve the fit and give them better edge quality. Now I'm going to dry them off with a towel and then compare them to the pattern to make sure everything fits nicely. If it doesn't, I might consider taking a piece back to the grinder and take some bumps off or do something that makes that fit better. Now this is fiber paper and I'm using a paper punch to make little snowflakes. I'm using thin fiber paper and I'm putting it between layers to give this design a little bit of a three-dimensional quality. Give it something kind of embedded in the middle so these snowflakes are kind of floating in space. Now we're assembling the project. We've got the clear glass on the bottom, there's little extensions sticking out beyond, and we've got the blue glass on top, and now the green pine needle pieces are being placed in such a way that they hang off the oval shape. Now we're going to include and add the cardinal. I'm using fuser's glue and a toothpick to apply it to glue this down so it stays in place when I transport this kiln shelf and the assembled project into the kiln. There is a piece of clear underneath the tail of the bird where it extends beyond the oval. That's important to make sure we have consistent thickness throughout the project. Now we're going to add a cute little eye and some snow. The snow is made with frit. This is white medium frit. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit in the sky to make it look like there's snow falling. And here comes the fun part. Now we're going to add some dichroic on white glass. This beautiful sparkly material will simulate the light reflecting off the snow. So it's just going to be beautiful. Add another little dimensional touch that just really makes this piece exciting. So I've got some dichroic not only in that area where the snow is accumulated under the bird, but I'm also going to put a few pieces in the area that represents the sky. I'm using tweezers to put the frit down because I'm trying to make sure that that glittery, the shiny part, is up and not down. I want to make sure I see it. This project is going to be fired to a full fuse temperature. We're going to close the kiln, fire it, and then here's the piece of glass coming out after it's been full fused. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this piece, and I hope you gained some information as to how to take all of those readily available stained glass patterns and then use them for your glass fusing. So now you have so many more options when it comes to designs and so many more options when it comes to patterns. So, now you've got some more opportunities for you to make more pieces and have a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me. Please consider joining my premium video membership. Would love to have you. I've got new videos coming out all the time. Please like, follow, subscribe. That always helps us out. And, keep your kiln hot. And until next time, happy fusing. I'd like to give a shout out to Robert from Nevada. Thank you so much for asking the question, how do you use a stained glass pattern for glass fusing?